From the mists of the north, a figure emerges, not just a man, but a legend etched into the very sagas of the Viking Age. This is the story of Ragnar Lothbrok, a farmer who dared to dream beyond the horizon and became a king whose name would echo through eternity. His saga is one of ambition, discovery, and the unyielding spirit of a true Northman, a tale that begins with a gaze fixed upon the unknown Western Sea. A restless farmer and visionary, Ragnar Lothbrok stood on the rugged cliffs of his homeland, his eyes not on the familiar shores of the Baltic, but on the vast, uncharted waters to the west. While his kinsmen were content with raiding their known neighbors, Ragnar's ambition burned for new lands and untold riches. He presented a revolutionary tool to his skeptical brethren, the Sunstone, a crystal that could find the sun even on an overcast day, a key to navigating the open ocean. Fueled by this innovation and an unshakable belief in his destiny, he assembled a crew and set his longship on a daring course. The vessel sliced through the waves, defying the fears of his people, until its prow finally bit into the sands of England, marking the beginning of a new era of Viking exploration. This first successful raid was followed by a series of brilliant victories, each one showcasing Ragnar's cunning tactics and cementing his growing reputation as a leader favored by the gods. Ragnar's fame transformed him from a mere raider into a powerful jarl, the ruler of Kattegat. On his throne, surrounded by his fierce sons and a shield wall of loyal warriors, he became the center of the Viking world. But his ambition was not sated by ruling a single town. His eyes turned to the greatest city in the known world, Paris. He amassed a colossal fleet, a sea of longships that swarmed up the Seine River like a serpent, striking terror into the hearts of the Franks. The siege that followed was a brutal, epic struggle, with Ragnar's warriors clashing against the city's formidable defenses, scaling its high walls in a display of Viking fury. Ultimately, Ragnar's audacity and strategic brilliance prevailed. He did not conquer the city by force alone, but broke its will, compelling the Frankish king to pay an enormous tribute of silver and gold to spare Paris from the torch. Standing victorious before his fleet, laden with treasure, Ragnar was no longer just a jarl. He was a king, a conqueror, a living legend whose saga was sung in every longhouse. Years passed, and the legend of Ragnar Lothbrok grew, but so did his pride. An older Ragnar, haunted by his own myth and driven by a desperate need to prove his greatness one last time, announced a reckless plan. He would invade England again, but this time with a meager force of only 2 ships, a decision that horrified his now famous sons. They pleaded with him, but his ego would not be swayed. His small, ill-fated expedition sailed straight into the wrath of the Northern Sea. A vicious storm descended, tearing his ships apart and casting him and his few surviving men onto the hostile coast of Northumbria. Stripped of his army and his glory, the great Ragnar Lothbrok, defiant even in defeat, was captured by the soldiers of his old enemy, King Ella. Brought in chains before King Ella, Ragnar showed not a flicker of fear. He met his captor's gaze with scorn, taunting him with prophecies of the vengeance his sons would bring. For his final punishment, he was cast into a deep pit, teeming with venomous snakes. As the serpents struck, their venom coursing through his veins, Ragnar did not cry out in pain. Instead, a slow smile spread across his face as he looked toward the heavens. He welcomed his fate, not as a defeat, but as a glorious end. In his last moments, he saw the shimmering gates of Valhalla opening wide to receive him, and with a final triumphant laugh, he proclaimed his destiny, embracing death as the ultimate victory for a warrior. Ragnar's end was not a conclusion, but a catalyst, ensuring his name would be remembered forever, not just as a king, but as the Viking who laughed in the face of death and walked proudly into legend.